Hi guys, update time. So, as you see, I am not in my home, which means he's here. Carlos is here. So, um, all I can say is finally. It was a rough journey to get to this point, but he's here. So, labor and delivery story. As I said in the last video, I was scheduled to be induced on the 3rd, and they told me 6 p.m. to give the unit a call and just see, if they were prepared to take me in for induction. So I was hoping to go in spontaneously before that. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So the day of the 3rd, I just, wrapped things up, did some last minute things, and, went about my day until it was time to, call and hopefully go in for induction. So I called earlier in the day just to clarify and make sure they didn't. I wanted to make sure, did they want me to be there at 6 o'clock, or did they want me to call to make sure that they wanted me to come in still at 6 o'clock? So when I called to ask that question, it was earlier, it was before noon, I know. They said, oh, we are swamped, so I'm even going to change the time that we have you call to see if you can come in. So, here I am, like, feeling even worse. I'm like, I've been waiting forever, and now, I have to wait even later. So she said, oh, sorry, I want you to call at 7:30 to see if we can take you. If we are still full, then I'll give you a new time to call, and if we still can't take you then, worst comes to worst, we'll induce you the following morning, which would be the morning of the 4th. So, in my mind, I already have it carved out. They're not going to take me until, the next morning. Sorry about that. So, prepared to go in the next morning. So I was, a little disheartened because, at this point, I just wanted this big baby out, and I was, extremely uncomfortable in my body, and, everything that I was dealing with the pregnancy. So anyway, the plan was to take my son to stay with my mother while we went to be induced, and so she was still going to take him, and so we agreed to have him at her house at 6 o'clock, since we would be going later at best. So we started to head to my mom's house about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and literally in the car I started contracting on the way to my mom's house. And it was not like, oh, here's a contraction here or there. It was straight into boom, active labor. The contractions were 3 to 4 minutes apart in the car, sometimes a little shorter than that. And I think they were only shorter than that because, as I found out later, my body just threw itself into labor, and I was having double and triple, which I had never even heard of, contractions, and which persisted throughout my labor, double and triple contractions, which is really, your contraction goes to the peak, and before it comes all the way down, it goes right back up into another peak. So it was pretty intense, and I didn't say anything to my husband or stress anything, but he started to hear my breathing and see my reaction to the pain, and he got silent and started to drive really fast. And I had to tell him, don't worry, I'm not going to have this baby in the car, but, when we had gotten to my mom's, I couldn't even, get out the car to get my son squared away with her. She just, sent out a bottle of water with me. She was all nervous, obviously, and I kissed my son bye, and my husband was like, call them and tell them we're just coming in. Like, there's no way we can wait until whatever time. But I'm really conservative. So, I called and I'm like, hey, so I know you said to call it this time, but I'm having contractions that are like this. So they were like, yeah, just come in, for a labor evaluation. So I go in and they're like, yeah, we're still pretty swamped, but we need to evaluate you for labor. So they put me in, OB triage, and I waited around, and by the time they examined me, they were like, yeah, you're in labor, you're 5 centimeters dilated, and we're gonna take you. So now it's a waiting game. We just have to wait for a room down the hall in labor and delivery to open up, and you'll be there. Oh my god, we waited in OB triage for 2 hours, um, with these crazy contractions. Uh, and obviously, they couldn't give me my epidural in OB triage, so I suffered. And I'm just like, I can't wait to get the epidural. Like, it got bad. Like, it took me so long to just walk down the hall to the unit when I finally did get a room, because the contractions were coming so fast and back to back, and um, I was just trying to focus on one contraction at a time and breathing through them. So that's what I did. And so then I finally got to my room. Um, they, got me on the bed, and they like were feeling bad for me because of the way the contractions were. So they like hustled to get the anesthesiologist, and literally like as soon as I got settled on the bed, the anesthesiologist was walking in to set up her things. And I was just thanking and praising God, because it had gotten to the point where even with my breathing through the contractions and everything, I was almost in tears. It was almost a tearjerker. It was like dreading the next contraction, because they were coming so fast and becoming so painful. And I think it's because of my whole pelvis situation with all the pelvic pain and misalignment and all that stuff. So anyway, got the epidural, um, and it was great relief, from the start. However, yeah, things had to turn. So, about an hour after getting the epidural, um, one half of my lower body was way more anesthetized than the other. So I started to feel the contractions as if I didn't have an epidural on the other half, um, and they were pretty strong. But it was literally only on half of my body that I felt it. So they had to call the anesthesiologist back and roll me onto the side that I was feeling pain, and she gave me a bolus of medication, and they were hoping that because they had me laying on that side, that it would, the medication would flow to that side, and I would be numb. And so it worked out. It worked out well, and I was numb, so I was able to, um, just feel the pressure of the contractions again. And so I labored for another few hours that way, um, and I was dilating very, very slowly at that point. Um, and so then after a couple hours, I started to get feeling back on that one half that was, not so great. So then the anesthesiologist had to come back again and do the same thing, lay me on the one side, give me a bolus, hope that it kicked in, and thank God it did again. After that, um, I was like stuck at about 7 centimeters, and the baby started to really liked the contraction so much. He started to show that he was, ready to be done with this labor. And who could blame him, because the contractions were ridiculous, um, whether I could feel them or not. So I had a nurse who was, powering forward in my favor. There was a physician that came in, and they were like, look, the baby's starting to say, to let us know that it's not happy. So, and then my nurse came in and she was just like, look, she's fine. We got this under control. The baby's gonna come out. Get out. So she literally kicked him out of the room. And so she was determined to show him that it was under control and this baby was going to come out fine. So she, because I couldn't feel myself, she like flipped me on my side herself, picked me up, laid me on my other side, and my left side, obviously, because of, better perfusion and everything. So she laid me on my left side and she was like, he's going to come. We're going to have this baby. You just watch and see. So after not long of being on my left side, I went from my 7 centimeters dilated to a complete 10 centimeters. So she was right. And and then then it was time to push. By this time, the bolus had kicked in so much that I could not move anything or feel anything. So they were saying, okay, so on your next contraction, we're going to push. And I was like, okay, so I don't even know when I'm having a contraction or not. So I need you to tell me when I'm having one, and then I'll push for you. So literally, that's what we had to do. They, held my legs up because I couldn't move them. They were a ton of bricks. And held my legs up, and I pushed whenever they told me to. Literally, I pushed 15 minutes. We started, 4 o'clock, 4:01, and he was out at 4:16. He was born at 4:16 on September 4th. So, he was a chunker too. He was 9 pounds and 5 ounces. I can't believe that I pushed that out. But they said that my symphysis separation actually, helped because, my pelvis just moved out of the way for him. So, that's that. And then he's here. So, welcome Carlos Anthony to the world. And, that labor experience is over. So, I will do another update video very soon, and you will get to meet him. And I'll tell you how it is, my first few days to a week of being a mom. But that's my labor and delivery story. He's here. The wait is over, and I'm just elated to be at this point. So thank and praise God for where I am. And I look forward to great things with my 2 boys. And that's it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a couple days. I'll just post a quick picture at the end so you can see him at least. And then, you'll meet him in the next video. Thanks, guys.